I've been doing unboxings all morning and I completely forgot about the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. I got this last week and it dropped completely off my radar. This is like super important. What am I doing? Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash. This is HEROQUEST, and this is finally, after literally years, HEROQUEST, Joe Manganiello's The Crypt of Perpetual Darkness quest pack. Ages 14 and up. Players 2 to 5, expand your HEROQUEST game system. It requires the game system to play from Avalon Hill. Barcodes for all your TV-pointed scanners. Consumer services for Australia and New Zealand. For those not in the know, the reason that I'm saying finally with so much emphasis and drama is because this was originally the $4 million tier to the crowdfund campaign that Hasbro did in 2021, bringing HEROQUEST back to life. They said if it reaches this much money, then we'll also get guest creator Joe Manganiello to create a new HEROQUEST expansion. And well, we all see how that really turned out. The campaign stopped just short of the 4 million. Yes, all sources included, I know. But we still got the quest. Perhaps behind the scenes, it was really more of a, we're going to release this no matter what, or it was a, if we reach 3 million, then we'll release it, but we'll go ahead and put a $4 million. Nobody knows, and it doesn't matter enough for anybody to care. The fact is, this is the third of the 3 previously Mythic exclusive expansions that released with the Mythic tier of the original HEROQUEST relaunch. With this out of the way, there is nothing left locked behind a paywall, a second-hand paywall. Well, at least for people who don't need the commander of the Guardian Knight, male and female sculpts. Now, this one's got quite a bit of controversy behind it. Personally, my controversy is that Amazon decided to package it in an envelope, resulting in damage to the box. By the way, you're seeing convention goods scattered around the table. None of this is anything that comes with the actual game system. We'll get to that once we open the box. But the reason that it caused so much controversy is because, well, besides being exclusive and hard to get without obtaining the super high-priced Mythic tier expansion off of eBay, when it did finally re-release, and we had a lot of people being very impatient and coming up with all kinds of mean reasons for why it wouldn't re-release and doing a lot of pestering. I mean, yeah, make your voices heard, but don't be jerks about it, you know? That goes for you too, Ash. We were seeing upon re-release the dramatic changes to the design conventions on things like treasure cards. So, I mean, you could just see from the back, and this is all we needed to see, that things were going to be a little bit different from here on out. There was a precedent being set, and we here at HEROQUEST Speculations Incorporated do depend on a lot of precedent to make our predictions about future things. There were a lot of people who considered these cards to be a little bit on the metal side, and maybe not in a good way. There were some folks who liked it, but I mean, when I say some, I do mean I could probably count them on my hands. You only know about 2 of my hands, though. There were a lot more vocal, I don't know if I want to say minority, it might have been a majority actually. A vocal majority saying, hey, future designers, please don't do all of this. It's not about this, okay? It's not about this, it's about this. And to that, I have to completely 100% agree. But at the same time, it's this person's time to shine. It's this quest designer's opportunity to say, hey, well, I only get one shot. I mean, you might get more than one shot if you don't do this. So I might as well take advantage of it. This is how I want the expansion to look. This is how I want the box to look, the cards to look, and so on. The designer made the expansion that he wanted to play, and we are along for the ride. So just because this expansion made it to retail and is selling is not much a reason, in my opinion, to be salty about anything. It just is what it is. It exists now, and you can get it. Now, I'm one of those privileged enough to have backed the Mythic tier, and I have the original Crypt of Perpetual Darkness quest book, and we'll be looking between the 2 books to see what kind of changes were made in between the incarnations, the exclusive and now the final retail open for all. But first, we're going to do an unboxing, which is what we do. Making a return are our tiles. And that includes the Grasping Vines traps, which I now have a personal vendetta against, the Dread Skulls, and the Acid Pool traps. I, for one, am actually quite thankful that there are so many of the included trap types, and that they are all represented by tiles. Grasping Vines can stay on the board until you or another hero choose to spend an action to destroy the vines, which will free whoever is trapped in them and removes the trap from the board. The Dread Skull is kind of like one of those mounted gun cameras in Metal Gear Solid. It appears, it makes a ranged attack, but it'll go away as soon as you give it any sort of damage whatsoever. It just has 1 body point and 0 defend die. Do you say 0 defend die or 0 defend dice? I guess you'd use the plural. There are 0 cats in this room. There are 0 dice to be rolled. Here on this channel, we ask the important philosophical questions, which is really what it's all about. It's just mixed in very cleverly with the board game content, which is more of the shell operation. Acid pools cannot be disarmed, according to the intro text of Crypt of Perpetual Darkness's manual, or at least the tiles in this set on page 5, but they can be jumped. In this way, I'm not really sure how they differ from normal pit traps, except once you fall into a normal pit trap, you can search it for treasure. The set also comes with the Temple and Tavern tiles, which are ginormous room tiles that you can use to change up your whole scene on your HEROQUEST board. Cleverly, the Tavern tile is used in the very first quest of the book, which is the Rat and Candle Tavern, and the flip side is used in the very last quest, which is the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. Next up, we get this amazing sheet of blank, plain, thin paper, which hides the other controversial aspect of this release. The opinion that it just doesn't come with anything worth actually adding to your collection. There are a lot of people who don't want to spend the money to get what's in this box. And it's difficult to argue for or against this point because everyone's money is kind of subjective in terms of value to that person. If you had the chance to buy this for $30 USD, some of you who have been waiting for the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness forever, and I've said this in many past videos, and will probably finally stop saying it in future videos, would jump at the chance to get this, and some of you have paid obscene amounts for this expansion without the retail box and other bonuses, secondhand on eBay, as one does. Others would not give any money for this expansion, not choosing to support it in some arbitrary way to make some sort of point I don't even understand. Like, how dare you hire Max Dunbar to do the art on the cards? I don't want to give you money for that. That's not the way out of that. Bro, sis, siblings of other royalty. Character sheet pad. Character sheet pad. I like variations in this, and I'm glad that we get one that's not the Frozen Horror character sheet. That is to say, I'm glad we have an alternative now that's beyond that. Now with this in existence, we don't need any more character sheets ever again. We have a choice now between 3. We've got the vanilla, we've got the first light one if you want to consider that different, but you've got the Frozen Horror, which is highly thematic, and you've got this one, which is really, I'm going to say this one's my favorite. I'm going to go ahead and say that is the accomplishment that this expansion has for me. This particular character sheet is my favorite one. It looks cool. It's classy. I like the font on this. It's fun, and it doesn't have to matter to any of the players in particular. All right, next up we have cards, and the cards have those nice little bands on them that keep them nice and protected. Somebody out there needs to make like reusable ones of these that have like little magnets on the end so you can unclasp them, play your game, and when you're ready to put everything back, instead of using like a rubber band or a baggie or whatever, you just clips right back on. I wouldn't buy it, but maybe somebody would. All of the cards are foil, and we've broken down the cost of this whole manufacturing outfit before, at least in speculative terms, and you can definitely see why this expansion would have the normal retail cost of a small box expansion with what's included. And if you don't see that by now, that's fine. Refer to my subjective value to money comment earlier, but the manufacturing cost absolutely weighs into the price. I'm not saying it's 99% of it. None of these are. But I'm saying that it has a relative markup. It's pretty much justified by what's in here. Now, these aren't going to be everybody's cup of tea. I love that we get more cards in the alchemy deck. But the fact that the alchemy and equipment and artifact cards are foil embossed on both sides, which is really dramatic in real life. Like, these are pretty. These are, choices aside, these are really freaking cool to look at. And I think that this is the feeling that the designer was going for. He wanted you to take these out, and instead of like critiquing them and splitting hairs on every little thing, he wanted you to go, oh, that's pretty cool. And just constantly be in this head state of, whoa, that's pretty cool. Because weren't you in that head state when you were playing this game as a kid? Now I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit in this video, but I do want to consider all the viewpoints up to this point and kind of look at this closely and in depth and see that you know, both of the viewpoints are justified. A lot of it has to do with that subjective value comment, but was there any way to make the backs of the equipment cards not foil so that they would shuffle neatly in with the rest of the equipment cards for people who like to draw random equipment cards? Or, you know, will we just have to sleeve them? Or we just have to draw from the bottom of the deck? I mean, this doesn't make it impossible to use these with your existing equipment deck. But then, if the appearance of the back wasn't going to matter, why not just have a completely different back? Why not call it a completely different deck of cards too? Well, they are equipment cards. You have the battle axe, the crossbow, and holy water here. And I gotta say, people have complained about the art, but it's Max Dunbar, which means it's already just normal HeroQuest art in a slightly different scale. It's bleeding off the card instead of confined to a little box. It's actually celebrating Max's art, and it's in color, which a lot of you aren't used to, and it's foil, which is really hard to get used to. And of course, it is framed by this metallic text that is, when I say metallic, I don't mean like it's got any sort of finish. It's just metal. It's metal text, you know, like the music. Anyway, that's for my out-of-states friends, my non-US, non-UK friends, and non-Swedish, because I know that you guys know what metal is. But other than that, the art is cool. The art is cool. I'm fine with I'm drawn very much to this art on the holy water card. The woman on here is really, really pretty. The angel wings, the looking over, the cauldron, the tears, this is a beautiful fountain, if it's a fountain. I mean, it's interpretable, right? But it's Max Dunbar, so it's not like you're getting a different artist. So the comments on the art itself are weird. It's like you're not looking closely enough at this at all to even have an intelligent opinion. You can critique the art, that's fine, but you're critiquing the same art. All right, so we've got the Oil of Acid immunity, which will be very important for us as we walk through the pools of acid. We've got the Dragon Spear, a long magical spear of dwarven make. When using it, roll 3 attack dice, or roll 4 if attacking a dragon. This weapon may be used to attack diagonally, and it may not be used by the wizard, because screw the wizard. We've got the Crown of Shadows. This helmet gives you 1 extra defend die and allows you to see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, just in case you run into any magical darkness or advanced darkness if you live in Bikini Bottom. We have a lot of artifacts. We've got the Crown of Shadows, which is armor. This helmet gives you an extra defend die and allows you to see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical. And it actually is just the exact same card, just a variation on the artwork. Here's our variation of the Dragon Spear, and there's our variation of the Oil of Acid immunity. Drink this potion to avoid the effects of acid damage for an entire quest. Discard after use. This is worth it. This is worth it. I don't know how much that costs, but it's worth it. It's the entire quest. That's how buffs should work. The Lightning Bolt spell, exactly where the foil was placed on this card, looks really cool. Lightning Bolt spell scroll, Tempest spell scroll, Ring of Return, and the Magical Throwing Dagger, which are all things that we are pretty much familiar with if we've been playing HeroQuest long enough, or at least thoroughly enough. Our alchemy deck gives us all kinds of foil potions. They are sure to taste funny. The Potion of Restoration, the Venom Antidote, the Potion of Dexterity, the Potion of Battle, the Potion of Speed, the Potion of Healing, and the Potion of Defense. Text choices aside, I'm not at all mad at these cards. They're fine. I appreciate some folks might not want to mix them into their decks, but other than that, they're fine. We get a set of black dice, which we don't officially have until now. The configurations of the faces are not any different than the normal combat dice. They're just black. So you've got 3 skulls, 2 white shields, and 1 adorable bunny per die. You also have pips 1 through 6 on the movement dice, which are black movement dice. You may have references in the text classically calling out to roll the 2 red movement dice. That's just a choice that, you know, was made by adults. And so it is something that is overlooked, but that's fine. Finally, we have the Piece de Resistance, a dragon sculpture that I have criticized many times in the past, and I actually have gone back. I'm eating crow. I'm saying, forget what I said before. Venom is a really cool sculpt. Venom looks awesome. I've had problems with his sort of decrepit look before his sort of, I'm skinty, I'm going to be up on this pedestal and not do anything. It's not a dynamic pose, but we've learned the dragon had to fit on one tile, and this is what they came up with, and that's how they had to come up with it, and I can appreciate working within design limitations. Also, I've just come to appreciate the dragon's design as a whole. I've been seeing a lot of dragons that I don't agree with lately, because I just can't get behind the aesthetics of them and different properties, different product ranges, and when I go back to this one, it's like, man, I did not appreciate this one when I really had the chance. Venom is cool. Venom is actually really, really cool. And maybe it's the finish that really sold me. The finish on this miniature is different than the original Venom. So the sculpt has a new imprint in the bottom. This was made in China, Hasbro SA. It's got a part number now. It's still M11. Does the M maybe stand for Manganiello? Otherwise, it is the exact same sculpt, nothing to fix, nothing to change. The material is different. It's not as rigid as the old dragon sculpt. It has seam lines in the same places, which suggests that this was a multi-part sculpt that was put together at the factory. If you are lucky enough to have two Venom statues, you can use one as a statue and the other one as the actual dragon. You can have a light versus dark moment. You can use one as the summon, which will have drastically reduced stats compared to its boss form, as all things should be. And we have our little ring, which is a first in HEROQUEST history. We've never had movement rings before, but this is going to presumably be used to keep this dragon even more stable as it moves across the board. I would not say that it's an unstable miniature to begin with, and miniature is kind of a stretch. It's pretty big, but it's a lot more stable with that nice base ring on it. And you could take that ring off and use it for other stuff also. It's just neat that it was with this expansion. All right, now with all of that out of the way and all of the commentary about things that don't matter out of the way, it's time to look for changes in the books. And I think that there were two pretty valid critiques as far as the adventure in here goes. One was that Crypt of Perpetual Darkness requires more resources than what you have in a normal game of HEROQUEST. The base game gives you 4 skeletons, and there are at least 1 quests wherein you have to put down 6 skeletons. Now, the QA at Avalon Hill has never been absolutely perfect. There's always been lots of human wiggling around there. I demand perfection and am constantly disappointed by a lesson that I cannot seem to learn. But even though the initial 2 pages of the new quest book are identical to those of the original crowdfund run, the extra skeletons problem seems to be mitigated by reminding you of a very basic rule in HEROQUEST, including Rule 5, or rather replacing Rule 5 in the Playing the Quests section. This is the retail release. The text is like this instead of like this. We have starting the quest, ending the quest, and treasures, and this text is all the same. Artifact cards, this text is all the same. And Rule 5, or point number 5, which used to be HEROQUEST quest pack components, and then specifying that the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness uses tiles and miniatures from the Keller's Keep and Return of the Witchlord quest packs, has been replaced. And in its stead, we have 5. What happens if I don't have enough monsters of a type? Some quests may require more monsters than are available in the game. If all the monsters of a particular type are already on the game board and you as Zargon need to place another one, you may use any monster of the same color as the one that should have been used. I think we all thought from the beginning that the extra skeletons would be a nice to have rather than a strict requirement, because this rule is literally in the base game's manual. If you run out of monsters, use one of the same type. Just go with whatever is closest. The reminder wasn't needed, but it's nice to have, and it's a great call out for anybody who was really wanting this pack to come with more skeletons. You can still want it to come with more skeletons. That's not illegal. I wish it would have came with more skeletons too, but it didn't, so we can't have that. Our quest text formatting is a little bit different. It looks a little cleaner. It's a little more condensed, especially in the new manual, because now we have the rat and candle artwork pushed into the quest text section, which is for Zargon's eyes only. So as Zargon, enjoy the art. This is the Rat and Candle Tavern, and if you can get in any closer, you're going to make out vague spoilers. Now, I will give you spoiler alerts throughout the video as we progress through the quest book, if we even do find any considerable differences, but let this go ahead and be your first spoiler warning. We're going to be looking at quest number 2, Jailbreak, but there's only one part of the quest text that I want to look at, so this is your spoiler warning for quest 2, at least a minor, perhaps, spoiler. And it has to do with Quest Note X. This is the only difference in this quest. Quest Note X is where Vander the elf is imprisoned and you have to rescue him, and we have a note saying to use the stats shown on the elf card for Vander. That's it. It wasn't specified at all before, now it is. Now the actual prisoner NPC has stats. Some folks pointed out, rightfully so, that the old edition needed the Keller's Keep stairways, and the new edition does not. So, spoiler for Quest 3 Marsh of Sorrows, the stairs are gone. You no longer need the stairs, and this was the easiest and frankly the most obvious solution to this problem. Just take the assets out. They weren't really adding anything mechanical. The stairs are just for flavor anyway, even in Keller's Keep. And I think I speak for everybody when I say we all love the stairs, and it would have been really cool to have more stairs, especially in this pack. But Keller's Keep is cheap at this point, so if you want the stairs, just buy them. Buy the pack, that is. We have a new quest note in this as well. It's quest note E, which is specified in the northwest room, telling you exactly what treasure you can find in the chest. Before, it was just a room with a chest and no specification. Looking at the quest text a little bit more closely, it seems like they did some proper formatting with the spell names. The dread spells were not capitalized, and now the dread spells are capitalized when they are called out in the text for quest note C. This is a small thing, but it's just one of those things that some people notice. We've also got the escape location marked out in a sort of key on the edge of the map, which is used in one of the rooms in the northwest quadrant. This note is completely absent in Quest 3's original text. Let's go to Quest 4. Quest 4 seems to be completely unchanged. What do you mean, am I sure? Yes, I'm sure. I looked at it for all of 6 seconds. Quest 5's Sunken City of Bubelhexia, whatever. I'm pretty sure he says Bubelhexia, which doesn't make any sense anyway. Has keynotes for an escape location and a secret passage. The old one did not have that. Quest notes 4, B are the same. Quest 6, The Tomb of Hate, seems to be the exact same quest, unchanged. It does make me wish we had gotten a mini for King Archelonius. Quest 7's Halls of Doom are basically unchanged. We have the same quest notes, we have the same quest layout. It looks like all of the enemies are the exact same in their configurations, their placement. I've been keeping an eye on the random wandering monsters, and they all look the same so far as well. Next up, we have Forge of the Mountain King. All of the enemies and trap placement in Forge of the Mountain King are the same. We get to Quest 9, Throne of the Death Knight, and spoiler alert, this is where our 6 skeletons are. The 6 skeletons are persistent in the new version of the quest as well, and at this point, you're probably gonna have the 6 skeletons. I mean, we are all kind of arbitrarily being empathetic, saying, but you're only gonna have 4, because only 4 come with the base. Let's be real here. This is probably not the first expansion you're gonna buy, unless you were at Gen Con and you experienced HEROQUEST for the first time, and you just happened to see Crypt of Perpetual Darkness there. There are still people asking all the time, hey, I just got into HEROQUEST, what expansion should I get first? It's a totally valid question. It's totally valid for people to be worried about that sort of thing, I guess, and come up with answers, but this is pretty much knocked out by the text at the beginning of the book. And to be completely honest with you, if it sets a precedent for future quest books to just go ahead and include more monsters than are included with the base game, and those monsters extras are also not included with the expansion that has the quest book in which they are mentioned and put on the quest map, I think I'm going to be okay with it. I actually think I'll be fine. I don't mean that to be confrontational or facetious in any way. I just think maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for expansions to step out of that particular comfort zone and say, hey, as a reminder, just use the closest monster you have. And then you get to quest, 5, and it's called Right and Privilege, and every single square on the quest map is taken up by a monster. That quest book's probably going to be designed by Bardic Broadcasts, but you know what I mean. The Crypt of Perpetual Darkness's quest ends pretty much the same way that it ends in the original, and the epilogue text looks exactly the same as well. It kind of does set itself up for a bit of a sequel, or at least is left somewhat open-ended. I don't know that we're ever going to get another quest from Joe. I think the open-endedness isn't a guarantee that we will. I think it's more of a, this is how I wanted it to end. And you know what? I think that that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting your quest to kind of end open-endedly. It kind of ends the same way that, well, the spoiler alert for Lord of the Rings, I guess. It kind of ends with the same somber notes of having completed the journey, but missing, longing for the one ring. It's a bittersweet ending. It's overall good. There's nothing questionable about that whatsoever. What had to happen needed to happen. The realm was saved, the kingdom was safe, and all of that stuff. At what cost? At not really much of a cost, to be honest, except for a little bit of the hero's psyche. I'm not putting that back in there. I'm keeping that out. What am I doing? But I will take my Mythic tier quest book and place it back into the box, because I can finally let my Mythic tier quest book rest. Actually, this is going to go in my Mythic box. What am I doing? And so that is the unboxing of HEROQUEST's Crypt of Perpetual Darkness Quest Pack finally, I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and now we can move on to future quest packs. I cannot wait for the Wizards of Morcar quest pack's newest incarnation. While it wasn't outright announced, we have an intro quest, an online-only quest that was handed out at Gen Con. If this is your first time hearing about it, it's Online Quest 004, Dread on the Horizon, and it mentions Grawshak as well as Nyashak. And look, I think Nyashak was a tribute to me because my name is literally in there. So I am the daughter of Grawshak in this expansion. All right, I think I've covered just about everybody's opinions that I've observed, and my own are that this is pretty cool. There were some choices made that I think could have been different if the creator was trying to appease everybody, but that just wasn't the case. This time around, the creator was simply trying to make a quest that he wanted to play. He wanted a presentation that he would have liked to have seen, and I think that that's totally fine. We'll get our thoughtful creators coming up and trying to appease the community and looking into stuff, but power to Joe Manganiello. I've talked a little bit of what could be construed as trash in the past, but that's valid. I want to talk about what I would do if I had the capability, look, you can make them kiss, if I had the capability of making my own HEROQUEST expansion, and that'll be a separate video because I'd probably want to do a few things that some of you would not agree with, and I would do some things that some of you might totally agree with that are more obvious, like more of a given, you know? But like I said, different video, future video. I'm very thankful this is out in retail finally. I'm thankful for the minor changes that have really driven home how accessible this truly is without having to have all the extra stuff. It was just a kind of a, hey, wake up, dummy. You know that this is accessible. You're griping over nothing. And I'm not pointing anybody out. That's not a call out to anybody who complained about the stuff that they were worried about this expansion not having or wishing it would. None of that. It really was that simple to fix it. That's all it was. And Avalon Hill took on the responsibility and fixed it with those statements, or perhaps the creator did. But in any case, thank you so much, Brave Heroes, for joining me on this adventure. We are finally at the end of our Crypt of Perpetual Darkness saga, and what a ride it has been. For anybody wondering about this in the background, this is the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness Game Master's screen, basically, with art by, obviously, Max Dunbar, and it's got a lot of cryptic stuff on it, and I go over what this is, as well as this and the quest and adventure design kit in detail, but they're all Gen Con 2025 handouts. I need to clean this room. I bid you farewell and great luck on your future endeavors. Consider joining the Patreon or the YouTube membership below. You'll get permanent bonuses that don't go away even after you drop back out, so hey, take a look at it. And it's a good way to support the channel too. You get your name at the end of my credits, like these awesome people that are coming up right now. Farewell for now, Brave Heroes, and I'll see you in the next exciting adventure. Onward